Why do you want this job?
Testing whether he is really interested in a job or really interested in this job.
Are you willing to relocate? So, how do you answer this?
Especially, this will be a tricky question for a female candidate because they always want a job close to their house where they are safer and going on a daily basis and all that. But still,
Sir, you're an industry expert with so many years of work experience. You can give us the real life situation or the scenario to answer this question. What interests you about this position? When this question is asked, how the freshers needs to answer.
okay, so usually freshers are bothered about their salary, benefits, all that stuff, which we cannot tell upfront and straightforward, right? So this particular aspect is they are trying to understand whether you are making relevance to that particular job position, where you have expected to do the electrical product evaluation in an easy department in an organization. They are trying to understand whether you are very good at making research, putting extra efforts in exploring things, all that. So that way, they are trying to understand your background and skill set, which makes relevance to the a particular designation, team, and a domain as such. That's how it has to be told. Whatever it takes, make it relevant to that particular job title rather than telling a very generic story.
This is an often asked question, but still, as an industry expert, you would give us more knowledge on this. Why do you want this job?
Okay, so this is actually a testing whether he is really interested in a job or really interested in this job. Okay, there is a difference between getting any job or this job. So that particular aspect is what they are trying to understand, where you have to create a story with the relevant skill which you already have in your strength. If you are applying for a IT company or for that matter, like companies like TCS, Wipro, and all that, you say, okay, there are a lot of IT companies at tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and all that. But TCS is some company where it is performing at a larger scale, where export has been done at a major level. That quantification you can give, but still you also give that, okay, this is the first kind of my job where I'm entering from academic to a industry and organizational setup where I want to begin my career with the Java or .NET, something like that, and I want to evolve myself in a particular stack and become a full stack in next 5 years. So that's my plan. So the entire story you have to tell so that they understand you have a very clarity in your mind and a proper planning in your career goal, rather than just telling an answer, okay, this particular job I want, this is for my dream job, or all that's a faking story which everybody knows. Rather make more logical answer which they understand you are very specific about a particular job rather than getting a job. That's the difference.
Sir, in the marketing or in the selling domain, in certain domains, the interviewers do keep asking us, are you willing to relocate? So, how do you answer this?
Especially, this will be a tricky question for a female candidate because they always want a job close to their house where they are safer and going on a daily basis and all that. But still, when you are looking at the JD itself, you have to make up your mind whether you are planning to relocate or not. It should not be a decision taken that point in time. Okay, so most of the JDs may not mention the relocation possibilities. It is your responsibility to understand and research whether this is opening for a relocation or I'm expected to relocate to a different location. So that research you'll have to do at a first place and prepare your mind whether you are okay or not. Okay, that level of preparation you should already have. But if at all it is suddenly asked, okay, where you are in Chennai, whether you are willing to relocate to Pune, Delhi, Bombay, those kind of questions, and then you initially say your honest answer whether you are willing to relocate or not. Okay, for men it is easier because they can quickly shift and then organize things and then move on. But a female it could be difficult. So you can tell the answer whether you are interested or not, or if you are not interested, you tell the logical reason on why you are not looking for a relocation. Okay, that logical element is what should be more sensible rather than just telling interested or not interested. Okay, So you can tell a reason like, okay, my family parents or elders, I cannot relocate. I want to stay with my elder family members whom I have to take care. So that logical answer is always you can tell honestly, rather than telling no as an answer, just a straightforward answer. So that preparatory level you should have.
So, when a question is asked, when can you start taking up this job? What do we need to mention or how do we address this? For example, do we start with the time lag?
Again, we should not be very desperate in getting into a job. We should not show the desperateness of getting a job. We should maintain our self-respect, right? So you tell them like, I'm attending interviews the next couple of days, and I'm willing to join from November 1st or November 15th, which is like closely like 7-8 days kind of a gap. Okay, so that they also need a preparatory time to onboard you and all that stuff, so that you can tell a sufficient time which is required for onboarding, which means minimum 7 days to 15 days. That much element you have to tell, but don't showcase your desperateness in joining a job. That's the main element which you have to hide in your face, so that they don't capitalize your situation of joblessness situation. That's the main element here.
Most of the time, when the interview gets over, almost coming to an end, the interviewer keeps asking, do you have any questions for us? What kind of questions do we need to ask them, sir?
This is the main element. Majority of the even freshers and even senior level profile miss out on the opportunity, but we'll have to capitalize. Okay, so raise questions which is relevant to that particular job, role, location, skill set required, and what am I expected to do, and whom I will be working. Those kind of related questions you can ask, which will tell that you are interested and curious about a job. Okay, so don't asking questions like what will be my lunch hours, whether you provide 2 days a half, whether you will provide work from home. All that benefitable point you have to avoid, and ask questions like, okay, whom should I report to? What will be my typical role in a day? Or what is my performance standard which is expected in first 6 months or first 1 year? Something related to your potential job, you'll have to ask a question so that they understand that you're curious about a job. That's how you'll have to make it.
Candidates are generally prepared for this question during their placement time and by the training and department of most of the education institutions. Why should we hire you? Because you're an industry expert. Please do give your views, sir.
Why should we hear you? Whether what kind of unique selling proposition or value addition you can make to a potential job is what we are trying to understand. Okay, so when we are hiring a fresher, it's like hiring a product. Correct? When we are giving 30,000 rupees, we are hiring a product or a service from you. In this case of fresher, we are buying your time. Okay, so most of the fresher has to understand the reason and logical reason of getting into a job at the first time. So when the hiring manager is interviewing you, they are not hiring your technical skills most of the time. Okay, it is they are buying your time for the benefit of the organization, so that they scale up to their productivity levels. Supposing there is a marketing team where about 20 people are generating 100 leads per day. Okay, now I want to scale up to 200 leads per day. So what I have to do, I have to buy time. I cannot overload my existing team because that will be overwhelming and people will be frustrated. Rather than I expand my team size so that I buy more time and generate more profitability and productivity. That's the answer behind the entire hiring process. So the candidates and freshers need not be afraid of their technical skills most of the time, which we don't even bother from the freshers, especially because we also know that you don't carry any skills. Correct. So the reason behind buying a fresher is buying your time. That clarity you have to understand, so that you are being very strong, confident, and don't appear like a fresher. So create a bundle of benefits about yourself. Okay. When an individual like us, when we are going to a supermarket, right, and we are planning to buy a brush, right, and we carry 100 rupees, and there is two options left with you. One, what particular brand is giving one particular brush for 100 rupees. The second option, they are giving a brush with a shampoo, right? Which one do you buy? Obviously, the second one, which gives a shampoo, right? Because it's a bundle of benefit. That's how hiring manager will also think on what is the bundle of benefit if I'm getting as an organization if I'm hiring. Okay, whether it is a good communication and articulating skills, whether you come up with a lot of networking face value, especially on the sales and marketing jobs, or whether you're able to collaborate with the other people, or whether do you know additional tooling skills, especially advanced Excel, all that people are coming up with a lot of multiple skills. So that bundle of benefits, if you don't have, you have to create. It's not that experience which matters, it is also the multiple facets which is important. You can join a networking organization, volunteering organization, NGO, and you become socialize with a lot of people, that you create a lot of visibility, that becomes your face value. And how much certifications you are getting. Okay, in with Udemy, Coursera, there are a lot of certification available for 500 rupees, 600 rupees. So, how many certifications you are bringing into the resume, right? And what are all the various achievements which you have done in the past in terms of maybe sports, maybe professional elements, all that you put it as a bundle. And the point with the fresher is they can do a lot of freelance projects, internship in the past, like 2 months, 3 months internship. How many internships you have done? Okay, how many smaller projects you have done? That's all put together forming as an experience. Okay, so if you look at an IEM MBA resume and the general MBA students, there are a lot of difference in the resume. IIM MBA resume will combine with all these elements which I spoke about. Lot of internship, lot of projects, lot of certifications. They will be part of a lot of networking groups. They could have participated in a lot of intercollegiate groups. All that they could have listed. So that I feel, okay, this guy is something very, very proactive and involved in lot many elements, which is beneficial for us in the sales team or a digital marketing team, wherein that's what we are looking at. But here, if you see a normal MBA resume, it is downloaded from Google, and then I say, okay, 10th, 12th, BSc, MBA. What the point in getting into those kind of candidates where I don't want, where already about 5,000 people have the same resume, correct? So this bundle of benefit is what you have to create and then tell during the conversation that these are all elements which I'm carrying. I can contribute comparing to the other candidates. That's what you'll have to sell during the interview.
So during the time of recruitment, I have seen from my own experience whether he or she is a fresher or an experienced person. To answer this particular question, I see a lot of struggle, in answering. So from your perspective as an industry expert, how do you answer this question, sir? What are your salary expectations?
Salary expectation is very tricky, even for even freshers, leadership positions, everybody, because the companies will have a budget already which is decided. Okay. See, the reason I'll tell you, see, organizations, MNCs like Wipro, TCS, and all that, they have their headcount budget even before the annual year begins. Okay. Supposing I'm in January, the entire recruitment team will be asked to give a budget for the next year's headcount budget. Okay. So there'll be like, I'm planning to hire 250 total employees in the next 1 year. That report I'll have to submit to the finance team so that they allot a specific budget for the entire hiring process. So it will be a combination of new hires and a replacement hires, which people try to do resignation in the entire 1 year period. So I will have a decided budget, say about 10 crores in a year, especially only for hiring. So I have something, a budget for a particular profile where maybe I can 10%, 15%, I can go here and there, but not beyond that. That's my static idea with my budget for a particular profile. But if you come and say, okay, a specific number, then it becomes a problem in deciding whether to hire you or not. Okay. So it is always suggested to give a very generic answer or very vague answer, like I'm open for a discussion and open as per market standards, all that, so that they consider you for a next level of discussion. Because when they are interviewing you, they are interviewing about another 5-6 candidates together. Okay. So after analyzing 5-6 candidates, internally a team will discuss on whom to hire to the next level, so that we get into a salary discussions. So the idea is, if you tell your number first, then it becomes a barrier point to you in shortlisting in the next level. Okay. So always be very cautious, very generic in your ideas, that Okay, I'm open for this title and open for a salary discussion, something like that, so that you don't give a specific number. That's the idea. The idea or our goal is to getting to another discussion where a specific number will be discussed exclusively. Okay, salary discussion is an exclusive round of interview where you can negotiate, they can negotiate, and come up with a particular number. But before, even if you are telling a specific number, that will act a definitely barrier for you and stop the entire interview process. So be cautious and tell open for a discussion. See, any which way, after your conviction only, you will be taking a job. Correct? Nobody can force you to take up a job with a low salary, but you can be open to get a salary offer letter and get a conviction after the multiple benefits. So every company will come up with a different structure of breakups of their salary and CTC, where there'll be a lot of benefits, long-term benefits, short-term benefits, all that. But before seeing that, if you are telling a number, that then it becomes a whole complication process. So always avoid talking specifically about a particular number during a salary discussion.
So, during the recruitment of marketing or selling domains, if a candidate is asked, especially if he or she is a fresher, how do you sell this pen? So, what answer would you give?
Okay, we are trying to understand whether you are able to create a demand. Okay, first thing, because without creating demand, I cannot sell any products, right? So whether that comes naturally to your articulation is what I'm trying to understand, and whether you are creating a logical picture based on the price of the product is also I'm trying to understand. Because selling a pen means like there are 5,000 companies will be selling pens, but why I have to buy from you is what I understand, and how you are creating a demand, creating a logical sense, or hitting my ego to buy a pen. That is what I'm trying to understand. Number one. And here we don't want to get success. Okay. It is not that compulsion that you have to sell the product, but we are trying to understand whether you are able to articulate the story on convincing. What are the convincing point you have so that I buy a product from you? You should not say, okay, this is a discount process. The competitor is giving for 10 rupees. I'm giving 5 rupees. These are all very cliche and very old model answer. But whether you are coming with a new idea, okay, that is what I'm trying to understand. Okay. But if you hit my ego, then I might try to buy from you. Say, okay, MDs like you will buy only this particular premium pen. Do you want to buy? Something like that you have to ask so that it hits my ego. So that way you'll have to create an answer. Here, you don't have to struggle that you have to sell the point. You have to come up with your creative ideas on the pointers which other people will not be saying. That's the whole idea here. How you are articulating, that's what we are trying to answer rather than selling it.
This is going to be a very normal question. When a manager is hiring, they generally ask, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? From your experience, how do you answer these questions?
This is a very great question, which we regularly ask to the freshers or people who are coming to us. We want to understand what kind of stability people want to maintain. Whether he will be jumping 6 months to 6 months in a different job, or he has a clear clarity of his career plan on what role he's planning. Okay, the answers could be something like this. So I'm a fresher. I'm joining as a Java developer, but later point in time I want to understand the multiple varieties of IT skills so that I can scale up, and later 5 years down the line I want to be a full stack Java developer. Okay, so that becomes the whole story, rather than telling, okay, I want to be in your position, I want to be a leader, I want to be a team leader. That's all generic and fake answer. You give a career plan on what you want to achieve, so that we also understand that you are a person with a clarity and have planning in your mind about your career. Okay, your career is something you are building, it's not somebody who's helping you. Okay, but we are trying to understand whether you have the clarity of what you are stepping in, and what is your next step down the line, and what is your 5 years plan. Okay, so this particular story you can create and keep it ready, that okay, I'm entering into a Java level where I'm appearing at a front level executive to create coding and all that. But down the line, within 1 year or 2 year, I want to learn the 360-degree of Java, J2E, Eclipse, and all that. I want to learn and experience with multiple projects along with your company projects because it's a larger project. And 5 years, I want to be an expert in a full stack development in J2E. That is the level of specifications you have to tell during the answer.